Job, right? Yeah, okay, good. So everybody's good. Things you have, we all do these things, which is good. We learn a lot from Germany, though. Germany's the size of Oregon, with 81, 82 million people. You had to think a lot, and over the times I've been fortunate to be to your country 15 times, first here in Hamburg in 1978. But information is knowledge is power. The component of people who are not in this room, not involved in education or study, we have to reach them to transform their thinking, which is more important. Information is knowledge is power. It works. We learned this morning when we took a cruise on the Port Authority of the diametrically opposed interests, the big container program on what I believe the south, and the houses on the hill, and the noise. And what they work together and they create sound proofing and other encouragements to try to soften the blow to keep the port going 24 hours, but also make people feel that they live in a special neighborhood. Information is knowledge is power, and working with people is a key. My only success comes as a local representative of working with the people, and at some point making a decision that they may not like, but I feel that has the vision for the long range of Los Angeles and the region. In the play The Chorus Line, I think they had a phrase, everything is old is new again. We see what you did here in Hamburg with the port. We see what you do at Apple City. Everything old is new again, and that opportunity exists, so it's real important. And also Fleetwood Mac, which is a band from the 70s and 80s, they had, don't stop thinking about tomorrow, don't stop, it will soon be there. And I look at the four dynamic people right here in front of me who asked some questions earlier. It's the young people who have the opportunity to make change. I had an opportunity to make change in 1974 on then Mayor Bradley's Youth Council. And my whole interest in life to be in public administration started from being in a big family. And in the big family, I was seventh. And my job was to take the trash out. Back then, we recycled. And then there was another mayor who combined the trash and stopped recycling. The trash men were the nicest men who worked for the city in a uniform, and they let me push a button as a child to get the trash in. That made me like the city. Okay. Now, I saw today the kindergartens walking around in the school trips. We must get to the young people to teach them about the importance of sustainability. The last word that was a new word of a vocabulary was infrastructure. In the 90s, we started talking about infrastructure. Now in this new century, we talk about sustainability. These are words that must be in our bloodstreams as we think and how we work and operate. And that is a key as we go on through the future. I'm very proud of what Hamburg has done in many German cities. I'm very proud of the reunification to realize what you did. And when you had two systems side by side of geometric opposition and then bringing them together, and then the challenges that you face and also in Europe that faces. But I do want to say people is so key for our success. The neighborhood association, the business group, environmental advocates, labor, jobs is the biggest thing in the world. But sometimes people tell me in my district, well, we don't want that on the corner. We don't want that anymore. Because they have something, but others don't. So there's a balance that needs to be done as we work forward. Technology sometimes does create great problems, although they do encourage us. GPS, for my district, is a challenge because the Hollywood sign in my district is way up on a mountain, many windy roads. But now people are given confidence because I call her Sally, it says, next street, turn left. GPS. And he puts people into the neighborhood, which creates a problem. And I have to deal with that because the neighborhood doesn't want all the tourists there, even though tourists are very important to us. So it has to be a balance as we work and go forward with issues. Councils of governments, as a great councilman from Cleveland said, the region is so important. As St. Paul talked about their council. High-speed rail. When I first got elected, I met with the airport advocates in 2001. And I'm for airports, modernization. I want to welcome people to Los Angeles. And they smiled. And then I set up for high-speed rail. And they frowned. There's a competition between business that doesn't like high-speed rail. What high-speed rail does, which America doesn't have, is it puts you in the center city. The Hamburger station puts you in the center city. That changes everything on how you develop in your densities. The housing, the mixed-use housing is so important as we see as we go forward. Our city was first developed in 1900s after the invention of the automobile. And I don't know if anybody in this room could top this, but in high school, and I'm older than a number of you, but in high school I saw gas at 21 cents. We were playing Monroe High in the valley. We'd go out on our school bus, and there's a go for 21 cents. Well, now gas is very expensive, but people still need to be mobile. And how we transform that to bring the markets down for new green energy and green cars to work, and as we go forward. Bikes, the biggest issue here that we don't have in America is the motorist respects bicyclists. The motorist sees the cyclist on the pathway and they yield to the bicyclist. It's respect, as Aretha Franklin said, is so key in getting anything. And we have to teach that in America to change our values. And people are even competitive on the road between a car and a bike for no reason other than competition. Education, as I mentioned before, but not everyone in the urban environment knows where milk comes from, or where our power comes from, or what the ports do. Education, again, I strive in great ways. I wanted to also tell you that Port of Los Angeles here, Michael, I want you to come up right now just to say a few brief things. And a fire station in Los Angeles on Hollywood Boulevard will be dedicated in a few weeks, and it's the first green station. You go onto the roof, there's a green grass, and it's the green roof. All this is happening because of the initiatives that people have put forward. There is opportunity, but it comes to those who have the ability to do things. The biggest thing I did in my life as a politician is get land. Because land in Southern California is the most valued. And there's a piece of land next to the Hollywood sign that someone wanted to sell. And I didn't want it developed because it ruined the mountain if it did. And Eileen Getty from the Getty family, I asked her for $1 million, she gave $1.5 million. By luck. I met her by luck. The Tiffany Foundation gave $1.5 million. Hugh Hefner, who is a publisher of a magazine known as Playboy, you may know him. He gave $1 million because he believed in the Hollywood sign. And I say this, that is important value, because when you see land, your parks, your lakes, it gives you strength. What makes Southern California strong, even though our challenges, is there are 4 national forests within the view of the center city, which is in the Griffith Park. You see Las Padres National Forest, Angeles National Forest, San Bernardino National Forest, Cleveland National Forest. But our problem is to get the urbanites, the people in the city, into nature. So there's much we have to do through education. But on these issues, we do many similar things. And I want to have Dr. Christensen speak just briefly on the port issues, as we're in Hamburg. And I truly want to thank everybody, especially the National League of Cities, and our great Council General here that I'm so proud of. So, Michael, come on up here right now. Thank you. And I have a PowerPoint, but you have to come to Los Angeles, and all you have to do is get there. And I will power you around Los Angeles and show you everything that we talked about.
Thanks, Council Member. As you said, we have with us Michael Christensen, who is the Deputy Executive Director of the Port of LA. And so we had asked him just briefly to say a couple of things of what LA is doing in terms of bringing the port that could be useful to share here.
Very good. I've got about 15 minutes of presentation here. Only kidding. Councilmember LaBonge, thank you. I will be very brief. I'm looking at the clock right up there. Councilmember LaBonge, we are a department of the City of Los Angeles at the Port of LA. Councilman LaBonge is the chairman of the principal committee that controls us, so when you ask me to give a few remarks, I'm inclined to comply with his request. I have a lot of details that I could give you, but I'm not going to. I would suggest you again to our website at the Port of Los Angeles that has a sustainability report that gives a lot of detailed information as to what we're doing in sustainability. What I'm going to do is just take a minute and talk about something that I think might be appropriate and interesting to this group, particularly given that we're in a law school. We know what we needed to do at the Port of Los Angeles. We were a big economic engine. We're the largest port in the United States, container port. We knew what we needed to do, but how were we going to do it? You've heard a lot about the void that has been created by the lack of federal regulation. And as a proprietary department of the city, there's a limit to what we could do. We had reached a point in time when the general population in Los Angeles had said we'd had enough with port expansion and impacts. We want to see a change. They initiated litigation which stopped all port development for 7 years in the largest port in the US. What did we do to fix it? Well, the first thing we did is establish the political resolve to fix it, and then we went about collaboration with stakeholders and forming plans that would address the particular issues that the community was concerned about, particularly related to air quality. We got the buy-in from our neighbor port, the Port of Long Beach, which is virtually a mirror image of us right next to us. And then we did something which has turned out to be very successful for us. We can't, as a port authority, regulate traffic. We can't tell the trucking community this is what you have to do, or even the shipping community. But as a port authority, and we have a lot of similarities with the Hamburg Port Authority in that we are a landlord port, we exercised our proprietary rights and said, we can't regulate that truck going down the highway, but we can tell that truck what it needs to do to come onto our property. And using that as an example, we implemented a clean truck program through successive bans of some of the older and dirtier trucks. And I can stand before you today, 5 years into our truck program, we have had a nearly complete changeover of a 5,000 truck fleet and have reduced diesel particulate emissions 80% in less than 5 years. There is tremendous power in the ability to pull together political will and take those proprietary rights that we have as an individual city and department and translate those into concrete. So we very much appreciate the chance to get with you. We have a tremendous working relationship with the Hamburg Port Authority. We're working with them closely on issues related to greening and particularly electrifying and automating terminals, which Hamburg is a leader, world leader in. We're sharing technologies on shore power connections that we're a leader in. And just one other thought, what gets measured gets done. We issue a report card every year, exactly where we are on our sustainability issues and our emissions. So thank you again for the wonderful hospitality you provided, and we'll be glad to answer any questions later.